Good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us for our first webinar of 2020. We're excited to be bringing the MSP-Ignite Resource Network webinar series to our members and invited guests. All of the presenters speaking in the series throughout the year have made a commitment to provide our membership with actionable insight into areas that can help our members grow or otherwise impact their bottom line in a positive way. While webinars like this are the start, they will also be providing more granular content to our members at peer group meetings. Before I introduce our speakers, I should go ahead and answer the most popular question we received during the webinars. Yes, we will be recording this. If you've given us your proper email address, we'll be sending you a link to the recording as well as a copy of the PowerPoint presentation. Also, throughout the presentation, if you have questions, please use the Q&A link, the Q&A button, excuse me, to ask any questions you have. Today, our keynote speaker is Allan Walters of W.O'Donnell Consulting. Just a little background on Allan. As a sophomore in college, he co-founded an IT company in Tennessee with 4 friends. They started the company with a grand total of $500 in cash, which was given to him by their parents. 3 years later, they co-founded an ISP, an internet service provider, back in the days when dial-up service was really the only way to connect. The ISP was sold in late 2000 to a much larger entity, and the IT company was sold 2 years later to a large VAR in the area. Allan then became the senior vice president of marketing, helping them grow from a $1 million a year company to over $13 million in annual revenue. He now works at W.O'Donnell Consulting, a New York-based MSP and IT consulting firm, as their director of SEO and marketing. He helps the company grow by utilizing search engine optimization, pay-per-click advertising, and other inbound marketing techniques to generate interest. Allan is also an experienced digital marketer and growth hacker. He's helped numerous companies grow using different online marketing strategies, including MSP-Ignite. He's also a proud Kansas City Barbecue Society certified barbecue judge, which has a lot of relevance, I think. Soon to become a master judge, judging barbecue contests all over the country. So look out for Allan. He's also a fun guy to sit down and have some barbecue with. Of course, our webinars don't take place without the assistance of valued partners and sponsors. Today, that sponsor is really one of our largest supporters, Dado. And while we're all familiar with some of Dado's services, our focus today is really Dado networking. We're fortunate to have networking product specialist Ryan Grinrod with us today. Good afternoon, Ryan.
Hey, good afternoon, and thank you so much for having me. It's really good to be here, and I'd like to find a way to judge barbecue for a living too. That sounds awesome, and I love what I do today, but that sounds even a little bit better. So maybe I can get some tips before the end of the webinar. Really pleased to be here to talk to you a little bit about what we're doing in the networking space today. My name again is Ryan Grinrod. By way of quick introduction, I've been in the IT services field for quite some time with Dado for the last 2 years. Prior to that, I worked in managed services for a number of years for a mature MSP based out of Fairfield County, Connecticut. And since working with Dado, I've worked with all of our products and services. But quickly after joining the team, gravitated towards the networking line. And the reason I did is when I was in managed services, I found that there were some gaps. And I really, truly believe that Dado has worked really hard and done a nice job to close many of those gaps. And by the end of the call today, in the short time that I have, I hope to show you a little bit about what makes our product line the most MSP-centric networking line in the world today. First thing I like to look at first is the market opportunity. So networking has changed quite a bit over the last 15 to 20 years. The evolution of wireless has really had an impact on the complexity of managing an environment, not only in residences, but of course also in businesses, large and small. Most recently, we've seen, in addition to business machines coming in and being expected to work at all times over Wi-Fi, consumer electronics. So believe it or not, I actually have a partner who is telling me that he has a client with multiple locations, all of whom have managed Wi-Fi coffee machines. So I don't know the value really there, but I'd like to get one myself and find a little bit out about that. In addition, consumer electronics are really becoming prevalent and small and medium-sized businesses. So really, the opportunity will continue to grow. It's expected, believe it or not, by 2025 that there will be over 75 billion connected things in use worldwide. And so the network, of course, is mission critical regardless of the size of the business. And this really leads to opportunity for folks in our business space, because small and medium businesses will no longer be able to rely on their brothers, sisters, uncles, cousins, nephew to manage IT services. Instead, they have been and will continue to reach out to managed service providers for help with the network. So why is Dado in this space today? Well, we did some research about 4 years ago, and what led us to do that research is when we were looking at internal ticketing data, we actually found that over 50% of our tickets were not related to backup appliances or the software that runs on them, but instead based on network connectivity challenges. And what we learned when we started to research this is that networking was not built for MSPs. And this is something that I wholeheartedly agree with based on my experience in managed services. What we found is that there are a lot of different vendors you can choose from. And while most of these vendors make good equipment, the model to which they bring that equipment to market is not always a fit for a managed service provider. So if you take all of those vendors, and we could probably all in this call name 15 of them in 30 seconds, you could essentially assign them to one of two unique camps. On one side, you have what I'll call the commodity type vendor. And these folks typically design equipment for mass appeal. There are certainly some pros and cons within that line when you look at delivering managed services. And on the other side, you have enterprise type vendors. And these are folks who design and deliver products typically to solve complex IT challenges, usually targeting an internal IT team. So as mentioned, each model has some pros and cons. When I look at that commodity type vendor, some of the things that I like as a managed service provider is I have a lower upfront cost, which will help me to grow my business more quickly. But behind that, things that can be a challenge is that equipment is widely available too. So you can purchase it in most cases, not only through distribution, but also in places like Amazon, making it difficult to resell in a profitable way. And then also in that business model, there's typically little to no support available behind those devices. So after a year or so, if you have a challenge, you have to go back out to your client who's happy and paying you a monthly service fee and typically resell them hardware. And then on the other side of the equation, on that enterprise side, and this is what I dealt with most frequently, you have really good equipment that from a feature perspective can scale well to manage services, things like the ability to manage devices remotely in the cloud. But you have a price point that's not typically easy for a small or medium business to digest. And so I learned quickly in managed services that opportunities aren't always easy to come by. When I had an opportunity, I wanted to build a relationship, identify some challenges, and onboard that client for managed services. But sometimes the upfront cost for them to move forward and do business with me was so large that I lost those opportunities. And between all of these choices, the MSP is typically stuck somewhere in the middle, liking some of the features from that commodity side and some of the features from the enterprise side, and kind of scratching his or her head trying to figure out what's the best solution for me, and then oftentimes cobbling together solutions, which just isn't efficient. So Dado decided to move forward with Dado networking, and we really have a simple model and two simple goals. Firstly, we want to deliver a performant networking line that's purpose-built for our partners' managed service providers. And then secondly, we want to enable the delivery of networking as a managed service. So what we did first is we brought forth a full lineup of access points, switches, edge routers, managed power, and all of these devices are designed 100% to be managed in the cloud right out of the box without the need for any type of controller, any additional software, or any additional effort on the technical side. All of these devices are going to be performant and have the types of features and functions that an MSP typically needs to operate effectively. Our routers, for example, have built-in LTE, so now you have a managed firewall with a redundant internet supply. Our access points have a built-in captive portal, which is probably my favorite feature there. So now you could spin up and manage a guest network experience with a professionally designed landing page. Our switches have PoE on every single port, so there's no guessing game when you have to add new devices into the network. And managed power has become a no-brainer. Not only can you manually reboot devices if they lock up, but you can actually automate that process using ping testing. What I like best and what I like to share most about Dado's networking line is that your feedback defines our roadmap. So as a Dado partner, we really take into account what our partners are looking for when they're trying to deliver services to their client, and we build that into our feature set. So we've seen rapid development over the course of the last few years. And if I look just at this last year in June, we added end user management options, and that's to go along with the growth that we found in co-managed IT. We've also improved audit logging so that our partners can see more and can troubleshoot problems more quickly. In addition, we've worked on integrations. So in June, we announced an integration with Auvik, as many of our partners are dealing with environments that have heterogeneous networking equipment, and they wanted to be able to monitor and manage not only Dado gear, but also other vendors' gear as well. And that trend continues. So just this past October, we held DadoCon in Paris, and there's my boss, John Tippett, on the left, and the product manager for Dado RMM. And they announced what I think is the single biggest move towards a unified platform at Dado, and that is a cloud-to-cloud integration between Dado Networking and Dado RMM. So now our partners have the ability to remotely monitor and manage networking gear out of the same tool that they're using today to monitor and manage workstations and servers. We continue to improve, so we've added more granular alerting, and also we've developed out the mobile app, adding the ability to do things like work with support right through the mobile platform. So if I look at the second goal, to deliver to enable the delivery of networking as a managed service, some of the planks that are built into the Dado model that I find to be particularly valuable, firstly, were channel only. There are a lot of companies that have channel only models and partner programs, but I don't know of another that really only works in and around managed services. So not only can you sell our products and services in any creative way you see fit, but we don't even want to know who your customers are, and we're never going to compete for your business. I'll show you a quick glimpse, but our equipment is positioned at an incredibly low upfront cost, gives you the ability to capture more deals and to grow your business more quickly. And with licensing and support, what we've done is we've built it into a simple monthly model instead of a complex annualized model. So no more going back out to a client's location every 3 years or 5 years to ask for additional monies to keep devices they've already paid for and pay you to manage up and running. There's no commitments or contracts required. I've already talked a little bit about cloud management, and we have extensive support, 24/7/365. It's direct to text, so you can call us on the phone, email us, or chat with us, and all of our devices have a lifetime warranty with advanced replacement options so that you can have a new device next day if a device ever malfunctions. So looking really quickly before we conclude at pricing, and this is just an example on the access point of what our partners are exposed to, but essentially if you look at an AP42, you have options in terms of how you consume that, but at the very largest cost, you'd be paying $79 for that device. If you chose to go with a term commitment, you can get that device for as little as $31.60. We've done it this way because it gives you the ability to offset the upfront cost to your clients as a service or a setup fee, and that thereby give you the ability to grow your business more efficiently. And then with licensing and support, it's done on a sliding scale. So as you grow your business with Dado, your cost per device per month continues to decline. You wrap margin around those fees and sell networking as a service. Now, this is only one example of how partners are reselling Dado networking. It can be sold in a number of different ways, but it's the one that I found has had the most traction in the industry. So as a member of MSP-Ignite and being on this call today, something that I got approved is the ability to offer you guys all some free stuff. If you have any interest whatsoever in what I've gone over and you want to take a deeper dive, of course, I'm happy to do a free strategy session with you. And we could look at not only the full stack and how the gear is managed, but also how are other partners selling these products in a useful way. I can include on that a senior engineering architect, and they can give you a deep dive and even help with some site planning as needed. And then also, I got approval for a free 60-day evaluation. We could provide up to 2 access points, a switch, manage power, and also one of our routers. If you're interested at all in taking advantage of that, feel free to shoot me an email. My email is displayed there. It's rgrinrod@dado.com, which could be spelled and remembered more easily as rgrindrod. Thank you all so much for your time. I really appreciate having the opportunity to share this with you today.
All right. So I wanted to talk with you all today about digital marketing that actually works. And first, right off the bat, I am actually not a marketing person. So how's that? You've joined a digital marketing session and you're not even talking to a marketing person. I'm actually a fellow MSP. I've been in the IT industry for almost 30 years, and I've specifically been doing digital marketing for IT companies for over 20 years, and specifically SEO and pay-per-click and different forms of web marketing for over 11 years. And so what I'm going to be sharing with you today is things that I have learned that have actually worked in marketing my own company. And this is interesting. So a lot of you have heard different marketing advice and opinions and things that people offer. All of mine is coming from a place where I was the owner of a company and I had to make payroll. It wasn't about doing marketing things for the sake of marketing. I had to get leads. I had to grow business and sales. And so it only mattered if it actually worked. And so I'm going to really kind of show you what I've learned, how it's done, so that you don't have to take my word for it. You can kind of be taught this is exactly why it works. And then so from there, we'll go forward. And if nothing else, anybody that can get a gig tasting barbecue, the best barbecue in the world all around the country, yeah, he's got to have something going for him. So if you don't listen to me from an MSP perspective, at least listen to a barbecue connoisseur. Okay. So think of it this way. Imagine if you were going to run a race. All right. So you're going to do a 5K and you go to all of your friends and ask them, I need advice. I've never run a 5K before, and I want to ensure that I do a good job. What are some things that would help me? So here is a list of things that could help you in your 5K run. Now, if you look at these items, is there one that you think is far and away something that would benefit you better than the rest? Right? So you could totally make an argument. I even think a correct argument. All of these things would be helpful, but is one far and away better? And yes, it's fairly obvious. And a lot of people laugh and are like, I thought I was here for digital marketing. Why are we talking about running 5Ks and cutting your toenails? The same thing is true for marketing. Everything that you have ever heard at a marketing seminar is probably true, right? So you've heard about blogging and you've heard about pay-per-click and SEO and websites and you name it, right? Everything you've probably heard is true. It's all good. All of these things are helpful and useful and can lead to business. But in my experience, having done these things for 15 years almost for many of them, as an MSP, one of these far and away, not even close, it's like 92% more effective than anything else, drives almost all of the leads. And so I wanted to kind of share what really works, because here's what I find most MSPs do. They see all these things. They're like, oh crap, what do I do? Do I do this? Do I do that? And they just dabble in all of it. They do a couple pay-per-click ads. They write a couple of blog entries. They just dabble in all these things. And so they don't really do anything well. My advice is do the one thing that really works powerfully and do it well. And once you have that going for you and it's working, then you can go and do some of the other things. Well, what is that? And this is the key. Most MSPs, when they market, they're not interested in getting their logo out in the marketplace. They don't care about if people see their color scheme. They're not interested to have, create goodwill and thoughtfulness. They're doing marketing to generate leads, all right? And this is really the key metric that I use to determine this. If you market your company and your primary reason for marketing is to generate business, this is the thing that works far and away better, and it's SEO. Now, some of you on the line may be this guy. Say, well, you know, I've tried SEO before and it didn't work for me. And I can't, this is normally where I would say show of hands, and some of you may be doing that. But if you're this person, say, well, I've tried SEO and it didn't really do much for me, I'm going to answer why that's the case. First of all, you're probably right. You probably did do SEO and it probably didn't do anything for you, but there's a very particular reason. And if you've not done SEO, I can assure you, if you just go out and try, you're probably going to end up here. Well, we did a bunch of stuff that people said to do and it didn't really work. So we're going to talk to that. But before we go any further, let's talk about what is SEO. So when we talk about SEO, what we're talking about is search engine optimization. But what is that? Okay, so here is Google, and I've typed in IT Consulting Chicago. And here at the top, we have some ads, right? So that's pay-per-click. People are paying to be there. And as you scroll down the page and we get into this blue and this green section, these are the earned spots. So these people, Google is essentially saying this company deserves to be ranked #1. They're not paying us money. They've earned that spot. And then as you continue to scroll down the page, you also get ads at the bottom. Here's another example. So here I've typed Office 365 Consulting Chicago, and you have an ad at the top, and then that's followed with these organic listings. So when we talk about SEO, what we're talking about is what can we do as companies to influence Google to make them want to rank us at the top or very near the top in the organic rankings. All right. So SEO, I'm boldly proclaiming to all of you, from a digital marketing perspective, I've not found anything that works better than SEO. And again, it's not even close. But I'm not just going to make you take my word for it. Because the very next question is, well, why? Why does it work better, Allan? So let's talk about that. In fact, they've done multiple surveys over the years. What do you think is the most effective marketing type that's ever been done, no matter the vertical, no matter the owner? They always cite this kind of marketing as the most effective. It's also what is cited as the most trusted form of marketing. And across the board, no matter who you talk to, it always comes back word of mouth or referrals, right? So word of mouth marketing is more trusted than any other form of marketing. It also works very well because you're not dealing with cold leads. You're dealing with someone that's already been introduced to you. They've already been told that you're wonderful and great. And so when they call you, they're ready to talk details. They're ready to sign up or learn more about you. And so people love word of mouth. Probably the primary reason that SEO, and when I say SEO, I mean like good and effective SEO, is so good, is that it most simulates word of mouth. Okay, so think about this. You've got two people talking together, just a typical word of mouth conversation, and they work at different companies. They take lunch together, and they're talking about, you know, their kids and their vacation plans and whatnot. And then the topic comes over to business. And so one of them talks about, hey, you know, I'm able to actually have a long lunch with you today because our server's been down for a day and a half. I can't check my email anyway, so I might as well just go out to lunch. And they start talking about, well, who deals with your computers? Ours seem to always be having problems. And so they're talking, and the other person says, oh, well, we use this company. We've never had a problem. They really are on it. In fact, this is one of the key metrics. 92% of consumers trust referrals from people that they know. All right. So this is really the bolstering argument to why is word of mouth so effective. So that's not really a contention. I would say most everyone on this call would say, well, yeah, word of mouth is great. That's awesome. I thought we were going to learn about digital marketing. So let's go there. What happens when you don't have a person to talk to? And what's interesting is Google is the natural stand-in. You know, think about this. Think you move to another state. You're gonna move your MSP to another state. You don't know anyone. You don't know who to go to see for a dentist or a doctor or an electrician or to work on your car. So how are you going to ask a relative or a coworker? You don't know anybody there. You just moved there. So what are you going to do? You're probably going to go to Google, and Google's going to show you a bunch of results. And the issue is all of these results that show up are not simply something that you can call, but they're seen by people as trusted and highly recommended. All right. So I want you to just trust me here for a moment, and then we're going to go into the why this is okay. So I'm definitely making the bold statement. SEO is the best lead generator that you can do digitally, right? So if you want to do digital marketing and your goal is to make money, SEO is your ticket. But we still have these people. But Allan, I said I've actually tried SEO before and it didn't work. All right. So to explain what I've learned over the last 15 years and why it works and how it works, we really need to understand, how does most people do SEO? Like, how is SEO typically done? Because that doesn't really work. In fact, I will argue traditional SEO is dead and it no longer works. So for you to appreciate this fact, let's really dive into what is traditional SEO and how is the SEO that I have learned over the years different, and why does it work when this doesn't work? All right, so let's look at the traditional SEO process. When you are trying to market your company, the first thing that an SEO company does, or even the business owner, if you're trying to do your own SEO, the first thing that you'll typically do is keyword research. So you're essentially saying, hey, Google, what do people type when they are looking for IT-related services? And so you can actually go, there's a tool that you can go to Google, and Google will spit out, here are all of the IT-related phrases that people type. And when you do that, you're going to get a list of about 4,000 phrases. All right. Now, how would you, if you had a list of 4,000 phrases that are all IT related and how often they were or typed, how would you sort that list? Now, what, again, in a live thing, I would actually take questions here, but that's fine. I'll answer it for you. So what most people say is, well, if I had a list of 4,000 phrases that people actually typed, and I had how often they were typed, I would sort it by most often searched to least searched, which is completely logical, right? That makes complete sense. In fact, that's the right answer logically. You would sort this list. So if you looked at the top of your 4,000 term list, you would see short, broad phrases that describe our companies as a whole. IT support, IT consultant, IT company, IT services, right? So these are the IT equivalents of dentist, doctor, plumber, IT support. That's what more often people are typing. And as you scroll down the bottom of this list and you get towards the very bottom, you're going to get very specific phrases: dark web monitoring service or network penetration testing services. But look, you'll notice there's far fewer people searching for those items. Now, when you think of this, what that really means is, of all the searches in the entire IT universe, a few words and phrases make up half of the traffic. In fact, it's about 15 phrases, right? So if you took the top 15 out of those 4,000 phrases, that generates half of the IT-related search traffic in the United States. And it's going to be those short words: IT support, IT services. And think about it. Using the 80-20 rule, if you just focused on those top phrases and ignored the rest, you would get at least half of the result, probably most of the result, right, for the smallest amount of work. And this is what you would end up with. You would have the list of 4,000 phrases that Google gave you, and you would focus on the top 15. All right. Now, so far, this makes complete sense. Why would I do all kinds of work when I can focus on the smaller, more dominant phrases? And honestly, this is the best way SEO was done for a long time. In fact, I used to do SEO this way. I would argue most all SEO companies, even in 2020, this is how they largely do SEO. And there's a problem. And the problem is, even though this is logical, this no longer works at all. All right. And here's the real reason why. Everybody does this. Nobody has special data or something that they know that other people don't know. Google is handing this list of 4,000 phrases to everyone, and everyone is sorting it by most searched to least searched. And everybody's only doing, only focusing on the top 8 or 10 or 12 or at most 15 or 20. And so here's the problem that it creates. Think of this. If I told you, hey, is it a good strategy to grow my business by buying lots of lottery tickets? You would say, well, no, that's a terrible idea. Yeah, if you won the lottery, that's great. But the odds of you winning the lottery are so terrible that it's not worth trying to build a business based on growth using lottery tickets, right? It makes no sense at all. In fact, look at this. To win the Mega Millions, you have a 1 in 258 million chance to win. But look at this. To rank for IT support Atlanta, you actually have a 1 in 585 million chance to do that. Right? So you actually have double the odds to win the lottery as to rank for IT support Atlanta. And again, I'm talking organically here. IT services Portland, you have a 1 in 307 million chance. IT consulting Chicago, you have a 1 in 219 million chance. And that's what that really means. And this is the first aha moment that I want to give you. All right. Think of your town or city that you're located in. All right. And I have no idea where you're located. So for an example, we're going to use Orlando, Florida. Right. So in Orlando, Florida, there's a certain number of IT companies. Who knows how many? I have no idea. But I think what we could all agree on is, well, there's got to be fewer than 80,000 IT companies in Orlando. Right. In fact, let's just say 1 million, right? Okay, there's fewer than 1 million IT companies in Orlando. And this is the first aha moment, is that you online, you are not an IT company competing with other IT companies. You are an MSP website competing with all the other MSP websites. And those other MSP websites can come into your territory, into your town, and market and land clients, and they don't even have a location there. So don't think about your competitors as the physical companies. Think about them as this number. And so essentially what I'm telling you, this fact in and of itself is what makes traditional SEO basically a crapshoot. You're basically just betting and hoping, and you're going to lose, right? So this is when a lot of people tell me, Allan, I tried SEO and it didn't work. Once I really talk to them in depth, what I really find is, well, they were doing traditional SEO, and of course it wouldn't work. I'm an expert in SEO, specifically in the IT field. I couldn't get someone to rank #1 for IT consulting Chicago, right? That's an impossibly difficult phrase. All right, Allan, well, you're bumming me out. So far, all you've told me is you've told me about barbecue, and you've told me about stuff that doesn't work. So far, you're not been very helpful to me. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what actually does work. Now that you understand why traditional SEO is a complete waste of time, let's go back to this list of 4,000 phrases, right? So we've gone to Google and we've said, what do people type? All right. That list is good. But what we're going to do is we're going to turn it upside down. We're going to look at the least searched phrases first. All right, Microsoft Azure hosting consultant, wireless network installation. And we're going to look at all these phrases. And this is one of the keys to this. We're not going to pick and choose winners and losers. we know that wasting our time on the top 15, that's just futile. You're just going to throw money down the drain, and you're never going to recoup that cost. So we're not going to touch those top 15 because that's just wasting money. But instead of focusing on a subset of the ones below the top 15, which is what the most progressive people do, they're like, oh, okay, well, I'll just take the second 15. We're going to focus on all 3,985 phrases on that list minus the top. And this is the first key. Brute force. We're not going to pick winners and losers. We're going to say we're going to show up no matter what they type. We're going to show up. Now think about this, okay? If you were to do that and you focused on all the other phrases combined, add them together, they also represent about 50% of the search volume. Now, here is where a lot of people say, well, Allan, that's not that big a deal. I mean, I could get 50%. If I could do good on the top 15, I get 50%. But you're telling me I got to do all this work just to get the same 50%. But think about it. Who types the word IT support Chicago? Who is the person that types that? Yes, some of them are businesses looking for an IT support company. But I can tell you from experience, a lot of people that type IT support Chicago are IT people that are out of a job, that are now looking to find who's the biggest IT company in Chicago, and I'm going to put in my resume with them. Or vendors, right? Take a vendor, take Dado, right? We heard from them earlier. And let's say he's looking to sign up more MSPs in a certain area. Is it not absolutely possible that vendors will go in and type MSP or data backup companies Chicago to get a list of here are companies in Chicago that say that they do data backup and BDR, and so we can go out and we can call on those companies. So a lot of that 50% is not actually people that are going to ever call your business to do business with you as a customer. But when you look at the bottom 50%, who is the kind of person that types Office 365 migration consultant Queens? It's almost certainly a company in Queens looking for an Office 365 migration consultant to hire. And so the quality of the phrases in this bottom half are much better, and they lead to a much higher degree of sales. So that's the secret, Allan. Your whole big whoop is just focusing on long tail phrases. I've heard of this before. Not exactly, right? So this is half of it. The real key to this is all of the phrases. Almost no one does this. They just focus on some long tail phrases. So this is half of the secret. Focus on every single long tail IT related phrase. And that's half the problem. The other part is to truly understand how Google works. And so I'm going to teach you quickly how Google works in determining who's going to rank where. So how does Google decide who ranks first? They look at about 417 different metrics, but there's two overwhelmingly dominant metrics that they look at: authority and relevance. Are you considered a trusted source? And do you have a web page that addresses the search that was done? All right. So how do you become an authority? And that is, the answer to that is backlinks. So other websites that point back to your website is how you become an authority. And here's some examples. So partner portals, right? So if you have a company that you do business with, make sure that you're on their partner portal. For those that are partners with Dado, make sure that you're on their partner portal and that your website is listed and all of your contact information is up to date. That could be a backlink for you. Some of you have won awards. Make sure that that article about your company has a link on the article to your website address. This will give you a great backlink. A lot of you guys do lunch and learns, right? So if you do lunch and learns, make sure your Chamber of Commerce or whoever you're doing this through has it listed on their website, because this will be a link back to your website. How do you become relevant? All right, it's all about content. Now, how many of you would say, well, Allan, I actually do tons of stuff that I don't mention on my website, right? You probably mentioned the big things like we do network security, we do managed services, we do VoIP and data backup, and you probably mentioned the big ones. But if I said, well, do you do Azure consulting or Azure support? You'd say, well, yeah, we do. Do you have a dedicated page talking about nothing but Azure support? Do you talk about cloud computing migration? Do you talk about Amazon Web Services? Or, being this partner, do you say on your website that we're a Dado partner? And here's our exclusive Dado partner page talking about that relationship. Think of all the things that you actually do, but you don't mention on your website. You have to have the content. So I want to take the time to show you the vision here. Okay, so I'm going to go to a live URL, and I want you to see with your own eyes. You guys can do this too. You can do it on your own browser and see that I'm not tricking you. So I'm going to type Office 365 Support NYC. And what you'll notice, now I've got an ad blocker, so mine strips out all the ads. So you might see some ads first, and that's okay. But what you should see if you type that in is organically #1 on Google. We rank #1, W.O'Donnell.com. That's the company I work for. Here we are, #1. But what if I didn't type this? What if I actually typed server virtualization NYC? And yet again, here we are, #1. Or what if I didn't type that? What if I typed Manhattan and not NYC? And here we are, yet again, #1. Or what if I typed, let's say like Thomaston, Connecticut. So now I'm not even in New York. Well, here we are actually #1 and #2. Or if we did structured cabling, as an example, here we are, #1 again. Now I could do this for about 700 phrases that my company ranks #1 or #2 in all the places that we do. So I just wanted you to see this with your own eyes. I want you to imagine for a moment your company comes up #1 on Google organically, almost without regard to anything that's typed. If they type it and it's IT related, you show up for almost every single one. Now just imagine that for a moment, because that doesn't take necessarily a whole lot of imagination to understand how this would work. So I'm going to show you the effectiveness. I'm going to show you some proof, and this is an exciting slide. But before I get there, a lot of people ask this, well, Allan, this sounds interesting, and I get your concept. Yeah, if I could show up #1 in Google, I totally get how I might be able to get some leads. But here's what everyone wants to know. Allan, how will I know if it's working? Because I got duped once, or we tried this for a couple of years back and it never worked. And how can I know it's working? Google Analytics is not enough, right? A lot of you use this now. It's great for trend data to show you general trend lines of how things are performing, where people are coming from and what page did they look at and how long and those kind of things. But it's not good enough to show actionable data. Some of the tools that we utilize, we can actually see and identify companies. All right, so here's a tool that tells you here are companies that are on your website, and they've not filled out a form, so they've not told us who they are. And then I can go and say, well, how did they find us? So now this tells us, this company was looking for Xerox solutions in Thomaston, Connecticut. That's how they found me. Here's the New York University. They clicked on one of my ads. So here they clicked on a Google pay-per-click ad about network support, and that's how they found me. Here's one, the Interchurch Center. So they were doing a search on Hyper-V Consulting, and that's how they found me. Now here's what gets really cool. Now I can dig deeper and say, well, what all did the Interchurch Center do on my website? So here I can see, well, here's every page that they looked at in order and how long they were on each page. Then I could say, well, who works at the Interchurch Center? And then here I can get their contact information, say, here's the president, here's the phone number, here's this, and you can get all this information. Then we can capture the video recording. So we can actually see who came to our website, what pages they looked at, how they got to our website, and then the really cool part is show me them on our website. So this is the video of the Interchurch Center that did the search for Hyper-V Consulting. This is the video of them on our website. Okay, so whatever they do, we can see. As they navigate through the website, I can see what they do. If they were on a phone, this video would look like a phone and you would be able to see where their thumb was touching. As they click on things, we're able to follow them around. If they download a white paper, I can watch them downloading that white paper. If they start to fill out a form, like whatever they do, we can see this information and we can use this to better our website. Think about if you said, gosh, I put this website, this page out, this blog article, and 113 people have gone to it, but nobody has contacted us. You could actually watch those videos and say, well, what are they doing? Are they getting confused? Are they clicking on something that's not clickable? And you can use this information to improve this site. Now, this is really cool. We can also record the phone calls. And these phone calls are not just every call coming in. We can actually say, these calls came from pay-per-click. These calls came from SEO. These calls came from a lunch and learn we did. So this is what I call my proof slide, right? So if you're out there and you're saying, I'm skeptical, I've done stuff before, it's never worked, I don't get leads online, I've never seen great success with digital marketing, I want you to see this because this is the actual proof. Here are actual calls that we've helped generate through SEO specifically. I want you to listen. Now, this goes a couple of minutes, but I want you to listen how each of these people are looking for different things. So here we go. Check this out.
Hi, yes, I'm calling because I found you guys on the internet and I was interested in speaking to somebody about IT support for our practice.
I found you guys online and I just wanted to know more about your services.
We are looking to outsource our IT managed services, and I found you on the internet and wanted to talk to you about what plans you offer.
Well, I don't know anything about your company. I found it while looking for computer services. Our computer system has a standalone server with about 20 workstations. Labor Day, we got a ransomware virus that attacked and knocked out our veterinary program. We've spent from that time to this getting back up and running, and over the weekend it came back. And so I'm looking for a company that can help clean all this mess up wherever that ransomware was hiding and it popped back up, clean it all up, prevent it from happening again, and be our IT service going forward.
We've had some issues recently, and the thing is, I found you on the web. And we're wondering if you do provide consulting services or a hands-on repair VMware systems.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we do.
Yeah, hi there. I just found your website. I'm a small business and I was looking for some help with some technology for my small business.
Well, so I don't know your company at all. I just kind of looked online and came across it. So what I'm looking for is some perhaps Office 365 solutions. I found you guys on Google, and I have a project going on in Omaha that I could really use some help on, and it looks like you're pretty close to Omaha. Is there somebody I can talk to?
I'm working with a company that has about 40-some locations, mostly restaurants and delis, and they hired me to come in and help them confirm their PCI compliance. And I wanted to reach out to you guys as I just Googled, PCI compliance consultant experts, and you guys came up in the top, 10, and in Oregon, and I'm down here in Southern Oregon.
We have a program called Cornerstone. It's a practice management program that we do all of our scheduling on and keep patient accounts on and so forth. What I'm looking for is remote access to that so that our doctor can take home her laptop and access our Cornerstone program from home.
How did you hear about
it? I just Googled it.
You Googled it?
Yeah.
You saw the website? Did you call from the website too?
I did, yeah.
Okay. We are looking for a company, an MSP company. I don't know if you provide those services.
We do. And you are here in Miami?
Yeah, we are here in Toronto.
And may I ask how you got our information?
I Google it.
You Google? Okay, that's the best.
Now, I'm going to stop that there. And I know a lot of you are like, oh, that was long and you showed all these. And here's the reason I did that. Any marketing of any kind can have some success. I didn't want to show you one call and be like, okay, well, he got lucky once. But I wanted you to see not only can you get leads, but this drives people to call. People weren't calling and saying, yeah, I'm just thinking about maybe looking at another IT company. They were I'm looking for a VMware consultant. I need some PCI compliance. I need a wireless networking. I need a managed service provider. I need network security consulting. This drives actual leads. And the same thing is true with email. I ask people all the time, when's the last time that your website generated an unsolicited email of someone asking for business? And so here are emails that we've gotten asking, hey, found you online, saw you at the top, whatever, we're a such and such company, can you do this? And there's a bunch of them. Let's just skip through these. So I wanted you to know the key to this is if you show up #1 in Google in an overwhelming way, right? So not just trivially with this one phrase or that one phrase, but if there's 9,000 things that someone could type and you show up #1 for all 9,000, that is what I'm calling real SEO. So now I'm going to show you how to do it, right? In the few minutes I got left, I want to give you kind of the to-do list. The first thing you need to do is you need to see where you're at, right? So you need to do a self-analysis and a competitor analysis to see what you're faced against, because some of you guys may be pretty well down the road and you only need to do the last 2 or 3 things. Some of you may have not done anything and you need to start at the very, very basics. So that's the first part you need to do. You're going to look at your numbers, you're going to compare them to you versus your competitors, and that will give you an area. Here is what we need to work on to improve our ranking. We'll talk about this in a minute. The next thing you need to do is you need to define your service area. So think about where your location is and what area you serve. You want to put your radius, and you're going to name all the cities and towns in your area. So in this example, I'm going to cover Youngstown and Warren and Vienna Center and Sharpsville and Lowellville and Columbiana. And you're going to make a matrix of all of the places that you serve, and you're going to define all the services that you offer. Now you're going to do this by getting that list from Google, those 4,000 phrases, and you're going to match up to it. And you're going to say, yep, we do VoIP. Yep, we do outsourced IT. Yep, we do remote server monitoring. Yep, we're an AWS consultant. Yep, we're a Dado partner. You're going to go right down the list of what all you are. And you're going to create a matrix of the service plus the area. It's going to look something like this. Here's all the things that we do, and here's all the places that we do it. And then what you're going to do is you're going to create a web page for every one of those green X's. You're going to create a managed IT services in Bristol page. Obviously it's going to be for your city. A HIPAA compliance consultant in this city, an AWS consultant in that city. Now, just to be frank, what this means is you're going to be creating hundreds and even thousands of pages, right? So when I came to work for the company that I'm at now, they had a 13-page website. They now have a 4,600-page website. There's one client I've got that's got like a 17,000-page website. I know this sounds crazy. It doesn't make your site look ugly. You're not messing the menu up, right? So your site still looks nice and pristine, but you now have so many more ways that someone can find you and call you to do business with you. You're going to create pages for each one of these things. So here's an example. This is my Thomaston, Connecticut server virtualization page, right? So this is a dedicated page, and it talks about nothing except server virtualization in Thomaston, Connecticut. All right, then you're going to optimize those pages, and I've got an offline thing I will be able to send all of you on how do you optimize a page. And then you're going to use these tracking tools to measure. So you're not just going to make the pages and then hope. You're going to implement these tools, and it will tell you, hey, Thursday, somebody did a search on Office 365 migration. They found your website. They went to your website. They were there for 7 minutes, and then they called in and asked one of your techs, can you come out? And that's how this lead happened. So you'll then know in no uncertain terms, holy mackerel, I just landed a lead, and here's how I got it. Now, I basically did a 9-hour presentation in 40 minutes. Hopefully your head is spinning. Hopefully you're like, okay, that was cool, but I don't know why it was cool, and I don't remember anything he said. So I'm going to make life easy on you. I've got 29 seconds left. I'm going to personally do the first part for you for nothing. This is because MSP-Ignite has made this available to anyone on this call, that we will do a self and competitor analysis for you for no charge, right? There's my thing saying I'm out of time. All right. So if you want to get this, now what this is going to show you, it's going to show you how much money your competitors spend online. It's going to show you when they run their ads and what their best performing ad groups are. It's even going to show you their ad copy. It's going to show you how they are getting their best backlinks. So what's working good for them, because we might be able to take some of those and implement them for you. It's going to show what's their most profitable keywords, what's driving their business. So this is really good data that you largely can't get, right? So this is not stuff that you would be common knowledge. We're going to tell you stuff about your competitors that you'll be shocked and amazed that we can find out. If you want this free service, if you go to this web address, it'll ask for your information and who your competitors are, and we will do this report and email it to you. There's no strings attached, right? So when I say free, I mean absolutely free. And we'll even go over the report with you and tell you what it means. And I'll even give you this is my last 20 seconds. I'll give you my personal, if it were my company, based on what this report is telling me, this is exactly what I would do step by step if I were you, right? So write that down if you're interested. And we will be happy to do that report for you. I appreciate that, and now we'll hand back over. I don't have any time for questions, I don't think, so I'm going to hand back over to Steve.
Allan, we do have a couple of seconds, maybe.
Okay,
maybe
perfect.
Maybe 2 minutes. Let me ask you a couple of things that came up, and I should preface this by saying, while I've heard you present before and we've known each other for a while, I do try and see what's fresh and new and listen. I didn't hear much after the slide with the ribs on it. I don't know why. I couldn't focus after that. So, and I haven't eaten lunch yet, so maybe that has something to do with it. So if you talked about some of these things, I apologize, but someone posted, and you and I have spoken about this over the years, obviously Google keeps changing the rules all the time. How do you keep addressing that?
So I would love to tell you a good story, but instead I'll tell you the truth. All right. So I got burned many years ago. I would say it was about 10.5 years ago when I first started doing this. I found a trick that worked. And I was like, oh my gosh, I found a trick. And I utilized that trick for about 8 months. And I could get anybody #1 easily by using this trick. And guess what happened? I went through my first Google algorithm update. And literally Wednesday evening, all my clients are #1. And Thursday morning, all of them had disappeared off of Google. Now, fortunately for me, at the time, I only had 3 clients. But I was completely like, oh crap, what's happened? And long story short, that scarred me so bad that I vowed to never again, even if I was effective at doing it, I would never use a trick or a found issue to get people ranked #1, even if they would love me for a short time, because the blowback of when it got caught was too great. And so none of these methods are whackable by Google, because we're not using any automation, any scripts, or any trickeration. We are legitimately creating a hand-built 5,000 pages on someone's website. So that's what makes it work, and it survives every algorithm update in the last 14, well, I guess now 10 and a half years. I've never had issues with that for that reason.
That's great. And this may be a proprietary thing, but I want to ask it anyway. When you showed all the examples of how you can track what people are looking at and track the phone calls and record the phone calls, is there a tool you're using? Is that something proprietary that you built?
Yeah, so we have our own tool, but there are also other tools in the marketplace. So everyone on this call, you really have three options, right? So one, you could, if you wanted to, and I'm not trying to sell you anything, but you could just use our tool and not use anything else. So that's one option. Or you could go and get different third-party tools. And I don't have a problem in the least of sharing with you what some of those tools are. So you could get your own tool set, or there are things that you can do in Google Analytics that don't cost any money that can do some of what we showed at absolutely no cost.
Fantastic. And I'm assuming if people want to reach out to you through doing the assessment and contacting you, they can do Q&A with you on that.
Yes, and I can't recommend this enough. If you're online, get the free assessment, because as we all know, a lot of people will give out freebies and it's really not very valuable. It's like a 2-second automated scan. There's no effort in it. It doesn't really do that much. This is not that. Like, I literally have a team of people. We're going to spend 2.5 to 3 hours per report. And then we're going to do a 1-hour phone call with you describing it. So get the free thing, even if you aren't going to sign up or do anything. That's totally fine, because I will basically be able to save you a ton of time and effort in showing you, here's what you need to do, and you don't need to do these 3 things. Don't spend any time or effort doing that, because you're already great there.
Fantastic. Allan, why don't you scroll us back to that screen that has the URL while I close it out?
Absolutely.
I want to thank everybody for their time today. We certainly hope this information was actionable and helpful. Thank you to both Ryan and Allan for your time and expertise, as well as your generous offers to those that attended. Allan just talked about his once again. Dado, for anyone that's a Dado partner, whether they've attended this or not, if you know somebody, if they're interested in learning more about peer groups and how they can get information like this and stay accountable to each other for information like this, please let us know. Reach out to us at msp-ignite.com/Dado. Dado will invest in you. They will actually pay for 50% of your first year's membership in MSP-Ignite. So thank you all for your time. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you all next month. Take care now.